I process an enormous amount of content on an ongoing basis. And for years, it has been less than organized chaos. And just recently, I sort of figured out how to manage all of this content that goes by in a manner that seems to be working. So I thought I'd go ahead and do a video for two reasons. One, that if it works for me, maybe it will help somebody else sort out the chaos. And for the second reason is so that tomorrow I can watch the video to figure out what it was that I thought today. So the let me walk through the structure that I put together so that I have a number of sources from which content arrives. The internet is sort of a general purpose category for stuff that doesn't fall into any of the other categories that I'll show in a moment. I get stuff from people via email, and when I get email, my email gets processed. The content of the email goes someplace. Some people are rather horrified to find out that if you look at my saved email box, it probably has 2 or 3 messages in it, and that's the sum total of all of my saved email for the last 10 years. I've managed to get by with that for a long time. I figure if it's really important, somebody else saved it someplace, so I don't need to. So the content that I get via email gets processed into an appropriate place. The associated attachments get processed and things get put someplace. But the emails themselves are not saved. All of the books I read these days are Kindle format from Amazon. If it comes to a choice between reading Kindle content and reading a hard copy book, I'm far behind on my books in Kindle that I already haven't found time to read, so I have plenty, and I no longer have room to store any more books anyway. So, and as to why Amazon and Kindle rather than Barnes and Noble and Nook, well, Amazon was the place that I started, and I just got locked into it, and I have so much of it already, I'm not about to change. There's an enormous amount of content that I connect with through YouTube, though I don't actually download the videos. I just want to remember where the relevant videos are that I have found meaningful and might want to refer to again for some reason. And then there's a lot of content that I get from that I create myself and I get from other people on Google Drive. It's nice that it's a number of different possible formats and one can get to it with a URL. So those are sources for the content. There are several destinations. One is I have a download directory on Systems Wiki, which I stick stuff that I might want to point somebody else to with a URL, so that there's a document out there and I simply want somebody else to have it. I give them the URL and they can go right to there and get it. Other content ends up being links in Systems Wiki, or the content of the document is used to elaborate some aspect of the content that's already on Systems Wiki. A lot of the content that I read, whether it's books or whether it's PDFs or other stuff that comes from the internet, I read it all on Kindle PC because I spend a lot of time actually taking notes on everything that I read, and I want, rather than having multiple potential places for it, I read it all in Kindle PC. And there is some content that comes from various individuals which I simply skim but don't want to throw away, so I have a set of folders with their name on it, and I keep their content in a named folder. But I'm currently considering whether or not that makes sense and whether or not that really should go away. So I have lots of sources and lots of destinations, and then the question is, how do you find anything? Well, currently I use Delicious for maintaining bookmarks because I like the way that it does. Allows you to assign keywords and search for stuff and add comments, though as of the 10th of January they changed their interface, and it appears as though the community thinks it's 2 or 3 steps backwards, and I sort of agree with them because it's just not nearly as nice as it was. We'll see if they take the hint from the community and fix it. But the idea is that's a place to store all of the links. So all of the sources of content that end up over here someplace, there are links in Delicious that indicate where the original source of the content is, and the keywords also indicate whether or not the content ended up getting stored in Downloader, the Wiki, or Kindle PC, or in somebody's folder someplace. And that content that comes from, that's not in book form or doesn't come in a PDF form, actually gets converted to a PDF form. I use Google Chrome all the time, so if I got a web page that I really want to read and comment on, I print it to a PDF file and stick it in Kindle PC, and then I go through and read the content there and make notes on it. And some of the content, some of that stuff, I actually migrate to the download site so that I can provide other people URL to access it. And for a lot of content, after I do take notes on it in Kindle PC, I send the original document and the annotations file to other people so that they can read my comments in their version of Kindle PC. Though currently there's a disconnect, I think, between the way that the comments are done on a PC and the way that they're done on a Mac. So while I've talked about it several times, this is just an icon to indicate that the comments, I make comments on all of the content that ends up in here. And I have found that if I religiously keep up and create links for things and add the keywords, that when I go looking for stuff, I can in fact find it these days, which to me is rather refreshing. So there's my thoughts on how I'm doing content management to save me from myself. And if you, in fact, find it beneficial to some extent, then have at it. If you have thoughts about how I ought to improve it, well, drop a message on the video and let me know. Take care. Bye.